Hey guys, it's Bailey from the Joining Me Today podcast, and unfortunately, usually after I do that little intro part, usually I go into a whole kind of, positive spiel and stuff. Not even a spiel, you know what I mean? That's downplaying and stuff, something that's positive. Like, I go into a whole sort of, positive and stuff like that, piece of speech, I'm I'm promoting and stuff. I'm sort of saying what amazing guest I'm about to have on the show, how excited I am for the episode. But unfortunately, and this has nothing to do with the actual guest I have on, this episode and stuff like that, was fantastic and stuff, despite of what I'm about to say. But unfortunately, unlike my other episodes, because my recording software decided to be like Liverpool have been in the Premier League this season, it just decided to basically fall apart and just basically not work properly. So unfortunately, this episode of the podcast will be audio only. I apologise and stuff like that for this. I would have loved to have had the video and stuff because it was such a great episode and stuff. And I always think that, video and stuff like that for podcasts and all that always massively and stuff complements and helps boost like a interview and stuff, a video even more. But unfortunately, this was just out of my hands. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the episode anyway. Sort of on screen and stuff like that, as you will see, I'll still have like images and all that, so I'll still have some visuals and stuff, because like I said, I think it boosts the video and stuff, but unfortunately, there won't be any footage of us actually talking. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy this fantastic episode with my fantastic guest. Pass Bailey, do the intro to the interview. Hello guys, and welcome to the sixth episode. 6 episodes now of this podcast, the Joining Me Today podcast, hosted by me, Bailey Ewer-Smith, a guy who actually owns 2 guitars but can't play either of them. But anyway, today I've got another amazing guest. I can't wait to jump into this episode, but like always, I'm going to give you guys a song recommendation. Very quick song recommendation. My song recommendation for this episode is a song called I Go Crazy by Karla Gowlett. Absolutely fantastic song. She's a great Irish artist and stuff. Very much got that really good sort of indie pop vibe and stuff. Mixing a sort of more, that kind of pastel, bit sort of like a cutesy kind of aesthetic, if you want to call it. A bit of like an early 2010s vibe, an area that means a lot to me. And then mixing it with more sort of real sort of emotion and drama and stuff. You love to see it. So anyway, you guys should go definitely check that out. But anyway, now let's get on to the interview. Today, I'm going to be joined by presenter, YouTuber, comedian, and all-around fantastic guy, even though he supports Crystal Palace, but shh. Anyway, joining me today on the Joining Me Today podcast is Jim Daly. How are you, sir?
Oh, what an intro that is. Big fan of that. Thank you very much. That's great. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you and stuff. I always like and stuff like that, doing these episodes. It's why I do the podcast. It's for the great guests I get on. So it's great and stuff for you to be coming on today. So let's go.
Can I jump in and say, first of all, why have you got 2 guitars and don't play them?
Well, I got one because I wanted to start playing guitar, and the second one was basically just used as a prop for a costume I had. Because I recently went to I went to London Comic Con recently, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to dress as, did you see that Elvis biopic that came out in earlier last year?
No.
Yeah, so there was this really, really good like Elvis sort of film and stuff like that, like a biopic, really like quite serious, really good. And I decided to go as sort of one of the earlier versions of Elvis in like the trailers and the film, the pink outfit and everything. So I needed a acoustic guitar, so I thought I'll get that. And yeah, I still ain't learnt to play guitar.
Love it. Also, Karla Gowlett, there's one of her songs I love. It's called Lonely People, I think.
Oh, yeah,
and it's a brilliant song. Really, really good. So good recommendation.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, speaking of recommendations and stuff, I always like to know my guest song recommendations. So what song would you like to recommend out there to the listeners?
Oh my word. It's funny you say you said about 2010s being like an era that's like close to your heart. It's also very much an era that's close to my heart as well. And weirdly, I was listening to some 2008 to 2010 sort of playlists earlier, sort of like Pigeon Detectives, like those kind of bands. So I can't remember any of the songs that jumped out at me, but I'll tell you something. A band I wasn't really into, but I listened to some of their songs. Now I'm like, why wasn't I? Because they're really good. It's the Vaccines.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's some really good songs. Wrecking Ball, I think, was one of them. So I'd recommend that. I can't believe I wasn't into them. Like, they're the sort of band that like I'd have loved. I don't know whether I wasn't. So maybe I'm always late to bands, always late. So maybe I'm about a decade out. But I'll go Vaccines.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good recommendation. The Vaccines, fantastic band and stuff like that. I only got introduced to them about 8 months ago or so and stuff, and I was like, why didn't I know about these guys? So I definitely
I know.
What is happening? But anyway, great song recommendation. You guys should go definitely check it out. But anyway, I'd like to jump straight in and stuff like that. Usual question you get with these sort of interviews and stuff like that. We know that obviously and stuff like that, you are YouTuber, football presenter and stuff like that. You've mostly got sort of famous and stuff like that off your football songs and your football related content. But how did that all come to be and stuff? Was you already in the sort of entertainment world and stuff like that? How did all the YouTube stuff come about?
Yeah, I wasn't in that world really. No, my background was in journalism. So I did journalism at university and got a job on my local paper when I came back to Kent, where I'm from, and that was my journey. But then I then moved to America for a bit to coach soccer because I got bored of England. And while I was out there, I realised I really wanted to be a football writer. That was kind of like what I wanted to do. So when I came back, I got a job at goal.com. Writing about football in 2009, 2010, actually. So back to the Vaccines era. And while I was there, I just started writing parody songs. It was something that I just wanted to do in my spare time. Felt like fun. I'd always sort of done it, I guess, but never like actually made them into songs. Always just writing silly little things. In a way, I think like born on like the sort of the terrace chants. You know, you go to football and people will always make up stupid like songs based on players and stuff. So me and my mates used to do that. And then someone at Goal said, why don't you put them on YouTube? So I think the first one I ever did was a song about Wayne Rooney's hair transplant. And it went all right. People were like, actually, I was like, okay, yeah, I could give it a go, I guess, and wasn't really expecting anything. But people started commenting and viewing and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is there's a magic that comes from YouTube of sort of putting stuff out there and people responding to it. And I got a real buzz from it. So I just started doing more. And that was 2010, 2011, I think, 2011. And did it sort of ad hoc, really, sort of for a few years. And then it was probably around 2015 when I did the 92 English Club song to the tune of Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire. And that went massive. And that's when I thought, I need to actually take this seriously and like make this bit regular. And so I started doing it regularly from then. And it just, exploded really. And then that's led to all sorts of stuff, football presenting and podcasting and everything really. So it was down to the guy at basically at goal.com, and I know his name. His name's Amar, and he now works PR for Budweiser or something. But he's an absolute legend. Amar Singh, top bloke. So basically, got him to thank.
Oh yeah, you definitely do and stuff, because the songs and stuff you've done and stuff like that, they're not only like hilarious and stuff like that, but and stuff like the sort of the way and stuff you can even mix it in a music sense, because a lot of people when it comes to comedy songs they just go, oh, it's easy, all you got to do is focus on the jokes, but it's not just that, it's the flow and all that. And like so many moments from like the 92 football team songs that you mentioned, that was how I was actually introduced to your content and stuff. I like the way it really fitted in with the tune, and it was like, this is both musically and comedically good and stuff. And yeah, great stuff. If you guys haven't somehow not checked them out, you got to check out the songs. They're fantastic. But
well, I appreciate you saying that, because I am a musical person. Definitely, I love music. And that's why I enjoyed your recommendation at the top is really nice, actually, because I'm always listening to music and I love it. And I've always wanted to be in a band. I think that was like when I was younger, that was my main thing. And I was never really good at any instruments and did piano grades to grade 3, but found it really boring. So stopped, and then self-taught myself guitar, but I can literally play about 4 chords. So I'm not like an expert at all, but I just love music. So I think that probably does. It's really nice to hear you say that about the musicality of the songs. I really appreciate that, because I think that is something that I do maybe without thinking. And I'm glad that it comes across in the songs, but it's just because I love music and I just love making music and and listening to it, and so clearly it's in me, and clearly it comes out in the songs as well. So that is really, really nice to hear. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and not sort of as a music fan and as a massive football fan and stuff like that, yeah, to see those two worlds collide and stuff like is amazing, and to be able to be creative and stuff in not just one field but all these different fields and stuff is amazing. And speaking of different fields, I also know that you recently did a performance at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival with your own comedy show. How did that all come about, and how did it go down?
Yeah, it went all right, actually. Do you know what? It went okay. It's really hard, the Fringe. It's very competitive, and it's very, you're putting yourself out there every day. So emotionally it's a roller coaster, and it's really hard not to get carried away or get too down when it goes badly or goes well. So but I had a good Fringe. I was pleased with it. But I've been doing stand-up since 2012, so not long after doing the YouTube stuff, I decided to try doing it on stage. Oh my God, the first few gigs were horrendous. They were so bad. I just embarrassed myself over and over and over again, until I sort of found my voice, or found, like, whatever the thing I was comfortable doing. Still a bit of musical comedy, but also a bit of straight stand-up. But yeah, it took me 10 years to actually put together a show to go to Edinburgh. I've always wanted to go to the Fringe, but always felt like I wasn't quite ready, or maybe I wasn't confident enough to do it. But during lockdown, I decided to actually sort of get myself into gear and try actually writing a solo show, and then took it up last year. There's a show about football, obviously, and about becoming a dad, because I became shock horror, because I became a dad just before lockdown as well. So it was sort of my journey being a dad, and how football helped me through it, and loved writing the show. It was so much fun, and then thankfully it all just sort of came together, and the first few previews went well, and I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, oh, I can write a show and people like it. And so by the time I got to the Fringe, I was pretty confident the show was quite good. And then first few weeks, I got a 4-star review, which was amazing. I've never ever thought I'd ever get that. And I got selected for Pick of the Fringe, which is like best 200 shows at the Fringe, which was a massive confidence boost.
Wow.
I just felt so...
That's massive at the Fringe as well, because there's so many performances. So that, like, as a starter, first year and stuff, like, it's amazing. Yeah, there's like 3,000 shows or something stupid. So it's mad. So to even get noticed amongst that noise, it was just like a real confidence booster. And I just got to perform at the Pleasance as a part of that Pick of the Fringe, which is like obviously the biggest venue at Edinburgh. So had a great time. A real foundation for a first year. I mean, part of me feels like, why does that take so long to go up there? Why does I not do it 5 years ago? But everyone's journey is their journey, isn't it? And like you do things when you're ready, and if it takes a bit longer, it takes a bit longer. But that's just the way it goes. So definitely going to go again. Not this year, because it's quite expensive, it turns out, doing the Fringe. But next year, hopefully, planning to write some more shows. And it was great fun. Got to see a lot of familiar faces I sort of know from the circuit, hadn't seen for a while, so that was really nice. Stayed with a couple of friends up there. It turns out accommodation is insanely expensive. I stayed with my oldest friend in the world who lives in Glasgow, my mate Callum, who's I met on the school bus 28 years ago or something stupid, which is mad. And stayed with him and his girlfriend. It was really nice in Glasgow, so commuted for a bit, and then stayed with some friends in Edinburgh as well. So had a lovely time. I mean, some people go to Edinburgh and find it really stressful and emotional, and I did at times, and some of them really struggle, might have to cancel shows, might come home early, whatever. I just had a lovely time, and it was a nice 3.5 weeks. So felt very, very blessed, really, and very fortunate to and of course I got the support of my family, because I left my 3-year-old, my wife, and then she was 7 months pregnant at the time. So the fact that she even said I could go was, I don't know how I got away with that. But she's a performer as well, so she understands, I guess, like the need to do it and the progression and stuff. So I'm very lucky to have that supportive people in my corner. So it was great month. Loved it. She still doesn't know and stuff. You told her, oh, it's business.
I just went to work for a month, and but I have to stay over. But it was work in a way, I guess, kind of. But she's the best, really supportive. So feel very lucky. You need that, I think, in the creative industries. You need supportive people in your corner, be it your spouse or your family or whatever. And I've got a lot of people in my corner sort of looking out for me and cheering me on. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, and I'm very happy myself with this creative endeavour I'm doing, that I've got a lot of backing for it and stuff. Some people watching this and stuff, you know who you are, and some people that I know will be watching this. See, look, I've made it.
But it's nice, isn't it? It's nice to have
brilliant
support. Like I think in a way it makes you then supportive of your friends who do creative endeavours or anything like that. I think it gives you an appreciation of how much support can fuel you to go on and do your thing. So I think it's really nice.
Yeah, it's amazing, and then you can collaborate, you can help each other out. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. But I want to also go back to you and stuff like, or obviously a Crystal Palace fan. That's obviously a big part. You not just talk about football, but you being a Palace supporter is a big part of, your whole sort of brand and stuff. But how did you sort of like come to support Palace and stuff, and sort of what do you think of sort of where Palace are like today?
So I'm much like many people, I imagine, I'm a Palace fan because of my dad. So my dad's been a Palace fan since 1956, I think. So a long time. And when I was getting into football at about the age of about 6 or 7, he said to me, "You've got two choices. You can either support Crystal Palace or get out of the house." And I thought about it, weighed it up, but I decided to go with Palace. And it's been the best thing I've ever done because they're a fantastic club. I mean, they're a crazy club, real up and downs, in the time I've supported them. Literally nearly gone out of business twice, not once, but twice. Yeah, within the space of 10 years, which is mad. So twice I've been thinking, right, who am I going to support now? Or am I going to support a non-league club? Or is there going to be a Phoenix Palace club?
Anything but Brighton.
Yeah, anything but Brighton, absolutely. Or Charlton or Millwall.
Oh.
No, so I feel very lucky to have a club to support, to be honest. So, but yeah, I've been going for a long time. My dad took me for my first game in 1992. We played against Notts County in the Premier League. Imagine that, Notts County in the Premier League.
Oh my God.
Neil Warnock was manager of Notts County. That's how far back it goes. And we won 1-0, madly. But I now sit with my dad at Selhurst, which is really nice. And my dad is 75 now. But it's really nice to sort of sit next to him. He's the reason I'm a Palace fan. And so I sit next to him, and that's really nice. And we actually did a few away games last season together, which was just like, they were just the best time. Absolutely the best. Just real, like, we're both busy people. Certainly I am with the young family. So having that sort of bonding time with him, which is absolutely the best. I can't, it's priceless, really. Can't really put it into words. So really I owe everything to my dad, really, when it comes to Palace. And I've met so many great people. Two of my best mates are Palace fans that I've met through Palace. Probably the two people I'm closest to in the world. And I've met some brilliant people through that club. Everyone thinks their club's special, and everyone's club is special because it's your experience and your journey, and it's special to you. But Palace are just so special to me, and I think they're a mad club. They're an entertaining club, and there's a lot of history to them. And right now, I actually think these are the glory days. I genuinely think this is the best time to be a Palace fan, and I think 10 years in the Premier League is absolutely unprecedented. In the years in the 90s and 2000s, watching them as a youngster, if you'd have told me we'd be in the Premier League for 10 years, I'd have bitten your hand off. I mean, I can't really believe it's happening. And I do think that we will go down again at some point, maybe in the next 5 years or whatever, maybe 10 years. And if my daughter and son grow up to be Palace fans, I'll be delighted. I'm not going to force it on them, but much like my dad did to me. But if they are, it's great. But they will probably at some point say to me, "Dad, tell me about 2021, 2022, because this is literally the glory time to be a Palace fan." So feel lucky to live through that, because we've got, I think, one of the most exciting managers we've ever had in Vieira. He's just
100%.
He's a Premier League icon. I remember watching him play. He's a Premier League legend. And it turns out he's a really charismatic, interesting guy. And I've got to meet him once. I hosted a thing with him, the Palace for Life Foundation, and he was just... The guy's got star quality. I just fell in love with him straight away. He's just like a movie star. It's literally like a movie star. And he was just so good. And we had the Down syndrome Eagles there, and it was just a beautiful night. And he was brilliant with them and invited them to training. And it was a wonderful night. He really gets Palace. And he'd only been there 6 months at the time. He really, really gets Palace. And he's trying to get us to play great football. We are in a sticky point right now in the season. We're having a tough Christmas time. But he's getting us to try and sort of open our eyes a little bit. We had 4 years of Hodgson, and I love Roy Hodgson. I think he's our best ever manager, really, when you think about what he delivered for us in the Premier League on a shoestring budget. But Vieira's, it's like the scales falling from the eyes. Vieira's trying to like open our eyes and show us the nirvana, of like beautiful football. And it worked last season. I mean, My word, last season was the best year to watch Palace in my lifetime. We were just playing swashbuckling football. We were beating, we won at Man City. We beat Arsenal 3-0. Oh, these are great. Beating Arsenal 3-0 on that Monday night was just, we completely walked all over them. It was mad. And look at them now; they're doing really well. So, and we had Conor Gallagher. Oh, I fell in love with Conor Gallagher. He's just that. I hope he comes back because he is a Palace player. He just is a Palace player, really.
England squad. I was like, wow, yeah. I hadn't really heard so much about him, and I was like, well, he must be doing well. And then I looked more into it, and I was like, this kid is good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's a footballer.
And I think that was off the back of his season at Palace, really, because he's playing regular Premier League football. So, no, I'm loving life right now, and I know we're in second season syndrome a bit, and Vieira's still working things out, but it is. Last season was the first time in 30 years of watching Palace that I felt relaxed. Like I never felt like, oh, we might go down or what, we're going to fall apart. I felt relaxed. And I can't, for anyone listening that supports like a team outside, I guess, top 7, you'll probably relate to it because you're always worried about your team. You're always worried, are we going to go up? Are we going to go down? Are we going to mess up getting promoted? Are we going to mess up being in the Premier League? And last year was the first year I didn't feel that once, and that's just a weird feeling for a Palace fan. I do feel it again now, so it has come back a little bit for this season. But no, these are actually the glory days, and it's a really, really fun time to be a Palace fan.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely say and stuff that these are the best years for Palace. Like what was happening with Palace in the late 90s and early sort of noughties, it was like 9-0 against Liverpool. It was 8-0 against it, and it was.
Yeah,
I feel like Palace kind of became a bit of like the joke sort of team that would get to the top flight and it'd be like, oh, it's easy, it's Selhurst Park on a Tuesday night. Innit?
Yeah.
But now it's like, and I think that's the same with a lot of teams. You look at Bournemouth, you look at like Brentford. These are teams, Wolves. These are teams where it was like they were in like League Two like 15 years ago. They're now challenging and stuff like that. Those top flight to be like, watch out. You know what I mean? We're here. We're not something to mess around with. So
I think agree with you. The clubs that have done, certainly Brentford and I guess Palace, it's clubs that have like really like bought into their identity. So Palace is all about South London and proud, and that is replicated by the fans in the stands, and it creates that atmosphere that I think makes teams come to Selhurst and think, oh, hang on a minute, we've got a fight on. And Brentford do the exact same. It's not a big stadium, Brentford Stadium, but the noise they make is amazing. And they've really like bought into this identity of this underdog little club, bus stop FC. And they've really like bought into that, and it really works. And they've got a great manager and they're doing amazing things. And I think you're right. In the 90s, Palace almost felt like lucky to be invited to the party. Oh, I can't believe we're in the Premier League. Lucky us. And almost got like, oh, well, even 1 year be great. Whereas now I think clubs are coming up thinking, no, we can stay up. We can beat the big guys. We can prove we belong to be here. And I think Palace may be almost one of the first clubs to start that sort of thread going back 10 years ago. But it's nice to see other clubs coming up and doing the same. I wish Brighton didn't. I wish Brighton actually went back down again. They are annoyingly doing really well.
Really well.
And their new manager is good. I know, they're doing really well without Potter, and he's obviously struggling right now. So, but yeah, it's nice to see. As a fan of an underdog, it's nice to see the little guys getting a lot of limelight.
Oh yeah, it's definitely amazing. And so when you see like the underdog teams and stuff like do really well, like I know you don't like Brighton, but it is in a way it is nice to see them doing well, like sort of them up there. I sort of begrudgingly respect what they do because actually they are very similar to Palace. Similar kind of budget, similar sort of stadium size. Actually, I'd love a stadium like theirs. I think it's a really nice stadium actually, the Amex, and similar fan base. And I think I actually think Palace and Brighton, it's more a friendly rivalry than I think it used to be. But it's I think the clubs actually learn a lot from each other, and I think they actually weirdly inspire each other on to get better. So yeah, all right. If we have to have them in the Premier League for us to get better, fine. I'll take it. I'd like to finish above them because last year was the first year they finished above us ever in the top flight, and that was a long time coming. So we need to get revenge this year. Yeah, you never know. It might happen. This might be the year. You might, could maybe Europe
hopefully
in 5 years.
Oh, I'd love that. I would love. I have seen Palace play in Europe, and this is so tin pot. But we were in the Intertoto Cup. Remember that when that was a thing? The Intertoto.
I very vaguely recognise the name.
Oh,
I do recognise the
terrible. And that was just like 19. We actually got relegated from the Premier League in 1998. and we'd done so badly and obviously been so nice to play against. We won the Fair Play Award, and winning that got you into the Intertoto Cup, like first qualifying round, whatever. I think they just felt sorry for us because it's such a bad season. Now I'll let them go in. And we played against this Turkish team called Samsung Spur. I'll never forget it. 2 legs, first leg at home. And I went to go and watch it. It was like mid-July, really early. And we lost 2-0. We were horrendous. Absolutely awful. One of their guys scored a P-roller free kick that Kevin Miller, fluffed and then celebrated like he won the World Cup. I'll never forget that, little arms wheeling away. And then there was a return leg in Turkey, but I was only 13 at the time. 13, 14. So I wasn't allowed to go. My parents were like, there's no way you're going to Turkey to watch Palace. Absolutely no way. And I think only about 100 Palace fans went in there, and they lost that leg 2-0 as well. So I've technically seen them in a European competition, just not in Europe. But yeah, if you offered me Europe now, my word, I would be on the first flight to Baku or wherever they'd end up playing. I'd absolutely love it. I'd love to see Palace in Europe. And actually, we're not a million miles away. You know, where we are on our journey right now. It could happen.
And you never know, they might do what they did to Eurovision and then add Australia into it. So
I'd love to go to Australia. Oh, yeah. Be on the beach in the sunshine. Oh, I'd love that. That'd be great. Oh, yes, please.
But yeah, no, seeing your love of Palace and stuff like that, you know, it's amazing to see and stuff like that. You know, like you said, there's been all these trials and tribulations, but you're where you are now, so the future looks bright for the club. Now, I'd like to ask now a bit more of a fun question, speaking about football clubs. I would like you to try and guess what my favourite team is.
Oh, okay. I've been thinking about this on the call, but I'm guessing well, you mentioned Brighton a few times. I'm guessing that's more the Palace angle. You've got a southern accent, so I'm going to say a southern team, or there could potentially be Man United. Man United have a lot of southern fans.
Most of them.
Yeah, exactly. The fact you made that joke self-deprecatingly makes me feel like maybe you're not a United fan. But you clearly have a good understanding of sort of the underdogs, and you don't have a top 6 vibe to you. So I'm going to say West Ham.
Nah, thank God. No, I'm joking. I'll see if I can give you a clue. They've been in the Premier League, and you're right about the South thing, but I won't say anything else, and I'll give you one more guess.
They've been in the Premier League, so that means they're not in the Premier League currently.
Well, they might have been. I've just said they've been in the Premier League. That could be now. This could be the first season for that team.
Oh, I don't know. South. Okay, South. Okay. I'm going to just throw... No, because they haven't been in the Premier League. Charlton?
Nah, it's not Charlton. That's the second time I've had someone guess Charlton, funny enough.
Okay, can I have one more?
Yeah, go on, one more.
Watford?
Who?
Watford?
Nah. I don't mind Watford, but nah, it's not Watford. My favourite football team is actually Reading.
I'm not a million miles away with Watford, to be fair. That's geographically. That's
right sort of area.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is, though, that I'm actually originally from East London, so the West Ham thing was really accurate.
It wasn't far away.
And I've now moved to North East Essex, so I've moved further away from Reading and I've never lived there.
So why Reading then?
The long sort of story is it's sort of like the short story I just say like, oh, it was the team I liked. But the long story sort of is like, I was just playing FIFA and stuff one day when I was like very young. And I was just looking through, it was when Reading and stuff was in the Premier League the first time. And so this would have been, so it was FIFA 07, so I would have been 5, 6, or it might have been a couple of years even after that and stuff. And I was looking through the teams. I was like, Reading, that's like reading. That's funny. So I thought I'll start playing as them, and then just became a Reading fan off the back of that.
Wow, I love that. I'm genuinely obsessed with people's like origin stories and like how they come to support their team and stuff. And I think that's really cool. Like, I hadn't even considered that like FIFA might be a reason to get into it. I wonder how many other, must be loads of other people that have got into random teams sort of through FIFA. That's really cool. But to be fair, I guess the team that's not too far away from where you were, so in a way, accessible. And actually, that Reading was Steve Coppell manager then?
Yeah, Steve Coppell. He's the best manager we've ever had, 100%.
Well, do you know what? We share something because he's up there with the best a lot of Palace fans think he's the best manager Palace ever had as well. So we share that big time. And when I first started supporting Palace, he was a god, an absolute god at Selhurst Park. You had was Joby McAnuff playing at that point? Was he at Reading at that point?
He might
Maybe
have
a bit
been
later.
a youngster, because I know McAnuff was in the 2012 Prem team. I think he might have just been coming through the ranks. That was like our Kevin Doyle, Laurie Leater, Steve Bidwell years.
Oh, Kevin Doyle played for Palace. McAnuff played for Palace. There's so many like random overlays of those two clubs.
I dedicate my life to Kevin Doyle. He's like one of my football icons. Oh,
he was a good player. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like, I think Reading are quite a likeable club, and I think people maybe think the same thing about Palace in a way, like quite sort of nothing particularly offensive about them, and I like that. I like Palace being a sort of likeable club. I've always thought Reading was sort of similar, to be honest. So yeah, up the Royals.
Yeah, up the Royals. Oh, someone has to support us. It was so embarrassing when I saw we was playing the other night. I can't remember who we was playing, but it was live on TV and stuff. And home game, right? And this was during the Christmas period. This was like our Boxing Day game or something like that. We got a 23,000 seater stadium. We had attendance of what? 9,000?
Oh man!
We'd had front row seats. We had about 50% of them were empty of the front row seats. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it.
It's the problem going down. I do sort of worry what would happen to Palace if they did the same. The Palace are planning a new main stand, which I think would sell us up to like 32,000 capacity. But if we get relegated, that's going to look so empty. So I do sort of worry about that. But it's a nice stadium, the Majeski. I've been there a few times. I saw Leroy Leater, I think, score a bicycle. I mean, I don't think I ever saw Palace win there. We had a horrendous record there, but I think I saw him score a bicycle one game. Yeah, I definitely did actually. Which would have been around 2008, I guess, 2009. We did win there a few times on the way to promotion. I never saw it. I got a horrendous record for some teams. There are some teams I've seen us like beat loads, and some I've just like never seen us beat. Got a horrendous record. This season in particular, I've got an awful record. I've seen Palace 6 times live. Because my son was born in October, so I've missed quite a lot of games. And I've seen 1 draw, 5 defeats, 2 goals for, 14 against.
Oh.
I'm literally now getting DMs from Palace fans saying, "Can you stop coming?"
Just like barricade the doors, like Jim's not coming in.
no, a photo of me at the gates of Selhurst. Do not let this guy in. Honestly, it's getting really bad. I am going on Sunday to watch us play Chelsea, and I'm pretty terrified actually. But
you never
mind. We'll see what happens. You never know. They are in a horrendous run of form, so who knows?
But yeah, no, like that's why I love the fact that you support Palace and stuff, because being an underdog fan myself, it's nice to see somebody else like supporting like, you know, an underdog team, like so many of the people around me. It's funny because like obviously I got through Reading through FIFA, but my family is mostly Arsenal.
Right.
And I sort of, you know, I didn't want to go that route because I like the uniqueness. I don't like all the top 6 stuff, and you know what I mean. All around me is just, I support Man U, I support Chelsea, you know, I support City because I started supporting football in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
I think it's nice when you see. I think you're absolutely right when you see someone that supports like a non-top 6 team doing whatever, YouTube or TikTok, whatever. You just know they get it. You know they get what it's like to support a team that is up and down, mostly bad, sometimes good. And when you cling on to those moments when you're good, you know, for me, getting to the cup final in 2016 and then the semi-final last year, those are days I'll never forget. You know, for a team like Palace, those are just getting to Wembley and having those moments with my family are huge. And if you support Arsenal or Chelsea, Man City, you're there every other week. Yeah. You know, so it's just, I think these are the moments you cherish more when you support a team that isn't top 6, but it's almost like, you know how bus drivers drive past each other and give a little nod. That's what supporting like an underdog is like. If you see someone else, it might not be your team, but you know they get it. You know they've been through as much rubbish as you have supporting their team, and I think that's one of the reasons of being a football fan, I think.
Yeah, it's part of the magic of football, isn't it? When you see, you know, we're seeing it with the FA Cup, like the other day, you know, it was Blackpool in their game against Forest, beating them 4-1. You know, if you're a Blackpool fan, that's the magic moments that make you want to support that underdog club. If you're Chelsea, not at the moment, but if you're Arsenal, you go and you just steamroll them, like, you know, and that's the magic of football. It's what you like to see. And stuff, 100%. So, like this interview, by the way, and stuff, It's been fantastic. Unfortunately, I know that you're going to have to and stuff go early for this one.
I've got dinner. Yeah, sorry. But I've enjoyed chatting. Honestly, I could chat to you for ages. Like, it's so nice chatting to like an enthusiastic fan of an underdog. And I think, yeah, it's so nice meeting other fans who get what you do. And I really appreciate the kind words of all the content and stuff that I do. I really appreciate that. And I have to say to anyone that follows me, I get so many nice messages all the time on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok now as well. I'm probably a bit old to be on TikTok, but I'm trying it anyway. And everyone's so nice all the time. So I just want to say a big thank you to it. If anyone's listening who is a follower of mine, a big thank you. Because I think I've somehow, without even trying, cultivated the nicest followers on football, TikTok and YouTube and whatever. Like, just people are just so nice. And I know a lot of my followers are sort of younger than me and quite young, but they're just so sweet and so nice, and I really appreciate it. And I hope that's because I'm putting out a sort of friendly vibe in my videos and stuff, and hopefully it's being reflected back. But yeah, a big thanks to everyone that follows me and interacts, because it really it really makes my day when I get a nice message from people, or people say like the videos and stuff. It genuinely makes my day, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, admittedly, and so if I can sort of get a bit sort of sentimental and stuff, like this interview to me really does mean a lot and stuff, because I've been a fan of your content probably about maybe like 3 or 4 years, and like sort of watching your sort of, even though like a lot of people say, oh, it's just silly little comedy football songs, whatever, but for me it meant a lot, because I could definitely tell you had that sort of, you're supporting an underdog vibe, and I could tell a lot of football YouTube, it can be sort of either a space where you're like, maybe I'm a bit too sort of mature and old for this, but I respect it. Or a lot of it can just be like, your team's rubbish and I'm fed up with this team throwing pencils everywhere. And it's nice to just see someone who's like, yeah, let's take the mick out of Grimsby this week or something, like.
And it's all done. I really appreciate you saying that. And it's all done with love as well, because I do support a team who are perennially quite rubbish as well. So it is all done with love and respect. And I hope that comes across. I think it does. And people seem to, from the comments, seem to get that. And I think we all just need a bit of silliness and light in our lives, especially in the last couple of years. And my view with supporting a football club is, if you can't laugh at your own team, you certainly can't laugh at other clubs. And if you can't laugh at your own team, why are you supporting a football club? Because most of it's rubbish. So you might as well just enjoy the highs when they come, have a laugh at the bad times. And to me, humour and football will always be intrinsically linked. And that's just what fuels me to do what I do.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't checked his stuff out and stuff, you should definitely go check it out. I'll shout it out again because it's worth doing and stuff. But all good things and stuff have got to come to an end though eventually. I've got 2 more questions for you. Well, actually, one's not.
Okay.
One's kind of a question, but you'll see when we get into it. And then we'll do the usual. My fans will know and stuff like that. The usual sort of last question and stuff I like to ask and stuff.
Okay.
The first one I want to ask is, why did you finally take the mick out of Reading this year on the 92 football team song?
to be honest,
years for you to, I'm like, every year I'm like, okay, it's nothing this year. And I was like, maybe it'll be something, I was just hoping it might be something funny. And then you took the mick out of that kit and I got so sad. Was it the kit?
Yeah. I mean, it's a horrendous kit. But
it's so bad, but no, don't tell anyone.
To be honest, the problem with that song is, like, because there's so many teams, in an ideal world, I would have a line for every team. And they'd be Mickey taking, or maybe it'd be about a player or something, or a moment or whatever. But it's so, if I did that, the song would literally be 15 minutes long. And that is too long. It's already too long, really, at whatever, 5-6 minutes. But the original song is that length. And I think people get the meme of the song, so I don't mind it. But it's just really hard. And unfortunately, a lot of clubs end up getting the same, or get lines each year, because of just the way they fall. So just because of the way Aston Villa always falls after Arsenal, and it's like the 5th or 6th. So it fits in as you're saying earlier about fitting into the song. So they have to have a line. Arsenal have to have a line. And then I get to Man United, and it's at the end of that little bridge. They have to have a line. And I try and knock it around depending on who gets promoted and who, from non-league. That might shove everything down a bit, and then someone might get a line that didn't. And I think maybe because of Salford coming up, maybe that's how Reading got a line or something. So it all depends on, and it's just the way it goes. But I get messages all the time saying, when are you going to do a line about Shrewsbury? When are you going to do a line about whatever? And I wish I could. I really wish I could. And I'm going to try next year, or I guess it's this year, try and give a couple of teams that haven't had lines maybe a line. But it's really hard fitting it into the song. And also, I just want to address another question I get all the time. I would love to do a non-league version. I'd absolutely love to, but the song would literally be 3 hours long because there's so many tiers of non-league, and I don't know. I barely know about the 92. The only reason I know about the 92 clubs is by doing this song. So I think it would be too difficult to do non-league, unfortunately. So I apologise to all the non-league fans out there. And I'm a non-league fan as well. My local team is Cheshire United, up the Generals. But if I never say never, but it would be very difficult. So
yeah,
don't hold your breath.
You've disappointed now. I now want to hear a song of you talking about Solihull Moors. Why am I not getting that?
Exactly, and it would be good. It'd be a banger, wouldn't it? But it's just, I mean, it would just take me maybe one day. But I just think it would take me months to do. But maybe it'd be worth it. Who knows? Maybe it'd be worth it.
Maybe, you never know. It could be a charity thing one day, like a special one-off, maybe something like that.
Mate, that's not a bad idea at all. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, we could do that, couldn't we? Like, everyone could donate a few quid and we could raise some money for charity. And yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. I want to make a note of that in my notepad.
Yeah, and then you can credit me. I've got to be all the branding and everything.
Will do. Lovely.
Just joking around. But you got to make sure, though, for me next year, if you're going to say about Reading, it has to be about how great Andy Carroll is, and that's it.
Do you know what? I'm actually a huge Andy Carroll fan, although he did score a bicycle again. He did score a bicycle against Palace. What is it with players scoring bicycles against Palace? But I do like Andy Carroll because I get the impression he just doesn't care about anything. He just does his own thing. You know what I mean?
To us?
Well, he turned up. Do you see? He turned up to a wedding in full West Ham tracksuit last year.
Really?
He just doesn't care, and I quite respect that actually. Yeah, he just does his own thing. Yeah. All right, Andy Carroll, Reading. It's in my notepad, so I'll try my best.
Yeah, but no, in all seriousness though, you know what I mean? I was really happy when you referenced Reading because even though obviously it was taking the mick, I was like, I like it though, it's joking about Reading, it was amazing and stuff. But the final question that I always like to ask and stuff like that with every podcast episode, if you was to give one piece of advice and stuff to someone, let's say, you're giving a piece of advice to me, what'd be the most important piece of advice you'd give? What's the sort of words you live by?
Oh, so life advice, really?
Yeah. Or just anything, whatever you feel.
Oh, that is a really good question. I mean, I would say you always learn. I feel like even at 38, God, it sounds so old, doesn't it? I'm 40 next year, but you're always learning. You never stop still. It's never too late, I guess, to try something new. It's never too late, Bailey, to pick up a guitar and learn some chords on the guitar. You know what I mean? It's never too late to try things, I think. And also, I think just give it a go. I'm very much someone who lives by the sort of give it a go mantra. And that's why I'm doing what I do now. Don't let anyone tell you can't do something. Don't let anyone put you in a box. If you want to try something, if you want to try a new skill or whatever, do it and see what happens. And it might work out. It might not. It might lead you down a different path. You might think, oh, this isn't for me. But I think give things a go. It will lead to more self-confidence. It will lead to more, belief in yourself and more enjoyment. You'll enjoy life more. So give things a go. It's never too late. And all the best, I guess. I'm sorry, it's a terrible, terrible sign off there, isn't it? But yeah.
And remember, buy my merch. But anyway.
I always forget to promote the merch. I'm terrible at that. But my merch guys, are you going to just mention the merch, please? But if anyone's got any ideas for more merch for me as well, let me know because I need to do some more. But I'm pretty slack when it comes to that. But,
you know what we need to see? We need to see a T-shirt of Mick McCarthy's stare. That's what we need.
I mean, he hasn't copyrighted his face, has he? He can't have copyrighted his face. Surely not. That'd be great.
Well, I don't know if that answers this question, but I know that you was able to invest at footballers at some point, so you could actually buy shares in footballers. So it probably is. Let's be honest.
Mate, I did meet Mick McCarthy. I've met him once when I was doing the Yahoo football show. And he's another person like Andy Carroll that just doesn't care. He turned up in shorts and a T-shirt. Everyone else turned up in a shirt and a blazer. He was shorts and a T-shirt. He spread his legs on the sofa, just didn't care. And then afterwards I did a photo with it and I tried to do the McCarthy stare. I tried to do that. And he was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm so sorry, Mick. I'm so sorry. But legend, top man, really top bloke. Yeah, absolute legend.
But yeah, that's so beautiful and stuff like that. Advice and obviously, you know, amazing stories and stuff. And you know, like I said, you know what I mean. I'm going to keep saying it because it's worth it and stuff. Go check Jim Daly's content out. Fantastic stuff he's putting out over there and stuff. And that is the end and stuff of this episode and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. See you guys next time. Peace out.